What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday to everyone. Hopefully everyone is doing well and having a great day so far. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Weather Update for Friday, June 28th, 2024. If you're new to my channel, this is where we do the daily weather update on all things weather in the United States. Tropical weather, severe weather, extreme heat, winter weather, anything that could be a weather threat to you. And hey, that can even include nice weather at times as well. We do talk about it with no hype and none of those scary thumbnails that are made to just get you to click on the video. No, we don't do that here. We just give you the straight facts of what's going to happen with the weather. Alright, if you're new to my channel, subscribe down below, give this a thumbs up, hit that notification bell. That will notify you when the daily weather update is out or any other videos that I decide to do. And leave a comment down below and share these videos with anyone you know. Today we're going to start off internationally real quickly. I want to tell you about this. Over in Switzerland and Italy, they've been dealing with some very heavy rainfall and thunderstorms. You know, it's summertime there as well, and other parts of the world have been dealing with heat as well. Well, they are dealing with heavy downpours, which have led to scenes like this. Look at a picture here. This house is just submerged in water. Flash flooding has occurred, landslides has swept away cars and houses, and there has been at least one person to have known to have died from this. So this is not good. I mean, widespread damage has occurred with this over in Switzerland and Italy. Here in the United States, the big picture on the national hazard maps right now is heat. The Mid-South is dealing with heat, and there is heat in southern Florida as well, and there are now excessive heat watches up for portions of California. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye on. And it would not surprise me if a heat advisory does go up for southeastern Pennsylvania once again, maybe for Sunday. There are some indications heat indexes in those areas could go over 100 degrees, but what you do not see on this map is something that's going to happen later today, and that's severe weather threats. We will see some severe thunderstorm watches come on this map once again later today. Taking a look at the current radar picture, there are showers and even areas of rain that are happening, unfortunately, in places that don't need it right now. Iowa, you're seeing more rain right now, and you really do not need more rainfall. There's another area of rainfall back across Nebraska. You do have the area of rainfall that went through Minnesota. This is associated with a warm front that is lifting east and northeast back across Montana. You do have some showers today, and you also have some windy conditions. You can see that here. There are actually wind advisories up across portions of Montana and even portions of the Dakotas. Wind gusts 35 to 40 miles per hour could be possible today. Taking a look at what happened with the severe weather yesterday, and it was a rather active day. There were a few severe storm reports across the Carolinas. One random tornado report down in Louisiana, and then, of course, severe weather, which was expected up in portions of the northern plains, which did include some large hail, some high winds, and a couple tornadoes. In total yesterday, 3 tornadoes were reported, 128 wind reports, 7 of them being high, 22 hail reports, and 153 total reports. It does look like I should correct myself here. There were actually 0 large hail reports, and what we did see was those high wind reports. So 153 reports total yesterday. Moving on to today, there's another risk of severe weather in the Central Plains. It is a slight risk with a large marginal risk area surrounding this. The probabilities are as follows. There is the threat of tornadoes, 2% and a 5% area across portions of Kansas, Nebraska, Missouri, and southern Iowa. So we'll keep an eye on that. There could be a couple tornadoes today. Wind, it's hatched at 15%, and hail is hatched at 15%. So we're borderline an enhanced risk here. We'll have to see in the next update if they do take this up to an enhanced risk. Tomorrow, large marginal risk area that stretches from Colorado, New Mexico, extreme northern Texas, Oklahoma, straight on through all the way over to Pennsylvania and New York State. Within that, the Ohio Valley, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania and western New York does have a slight risk of severe weather for tomorrow. The probabilities are as follows. 2% tornado with a 5% in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and southern New York. Wind, 15%, and hail is at 5% at this time. There is also a day 3 slight risk area that stretches from Virginia all the way up through to Maine along the I-95 corridor, and there is also a slight risk area from portions of Montana through to North Dakota, and the probabilities are 15% in these risk areas. Let's take a look at the HRR model for today, and we can see those showers and thunderstorms, the area of rain with that warm front, will continue northeast. Directly behind it, more showers and thunderstorms are going to form this afternoon. Some of them will be severe, and you can see here, this model is a bit far northeast with where this does set up. Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, yeah, it really gets going for you. And then another round gets going behind that. Then you can see in the plains, as we head into tonight, showers and thunderstorms do develop, but I am rather interested in what develops over Illinois, Iowa, and Missouri this evening, because you can see overnight tonight that does start to extend pretty far eastward and moves out of this marginal and slight risk area. And if the HRR was right, the threat for tomorrow would actually come a little bit earlier in portions of Pennsylvania and Ohio. You can see by tomorrow morning already showers and thunderstorms ongoing, with another area ongoing across portions of Illinois, and that will continue eastward throughout the day. And then there's something else I want to show you on the HRR model. Let's zoom into Pennsylvania. You can see we have these clusters of severe thunderstorms tomorrow evening, and some of them do have what looks to be little hooks on them. That could be isolated tornadoes. That is something that we are going to really have to pay close attention to tomorrow. And as I advance this threat does continue eastward, and the HRR is relatively impressive for southeast Pennsylvania, and it does show an area of training sets up from Lancaster, Pennsylvania through to Philadelphia. You can see it here very clearly, and watch what happens with that. I'm going to put up total precipitation. Now, this is likely to change on future runs, but I just want to make you aware of this in case it did end up happening. That's an area of 2 to 4, even isolated 5 inches of rainfall in a very short period of time tomorrow night. That would cause flash flooding. You also do see another case of this back across Ohio, just southwest of Cleveland. Keep an eye on that. These little areas that set up like that could cause a quick flash flooding situation. All right, going back to another model, let's take a look at the 3 km NAM for today. You can see the showers and thunderstorms will develop this afternoon across the plains. There'll be a few supercell thunderstorms, and this system will make its way eastward. And then tomorrow we will have the showers, thunderstorms go across Lake Erie, northern Ohio, Pennsylvania, and even into New York State. And we'll have to watch. New showers and thunderstorms should develop tomorrow evening. You can see the 3 km NAM. Remember that train area that I just showed you? Let's zoom this in. On the 3 km NAM, this sets up a bit more north, across northeast Pennsylvania, and not so much in southeast Pennsylvania. So we'll have to really pay attention as to where that sets up. But wherever it does set up, there could be an instance of flash flooding. All right, moving on now to the Weather Prediction Center. Excessive rainfall. There is a slight risk for that today across portions of Kansas, portions of Missouri, and Iowa, and even western portions of Illinois. Day 2. Right now, they're going with a slight risk in western Pennsylvania. And you can see here, just a marginal up through to the Poconos. Nothing really much in eastern Pennsylvania. That may have to be changed if some of these high resolution models are correct. There is also a slight risk in upstate New York as well. Marginal risk on Sunday across the Carolinas, marginal risk in the Four Corners region, and a marginal risk in the northern plains. And you're noticing in California, nothing for all 3 of these days. That's because California is going to continue to be dry. Take a look at this. Hardly even a drop of rainfall for the West Coast. Florida, you are going to see your daily showers and thunderstorms. This front, when it gets to you, will get caught up, and showers and thunderstorms will develop along this front. Taking a look here across the upper Midwest, unfortunately, more heavy rainfall for you. Widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain, and you do see oranges. That's 3+ areas, or these reds, I should say, 3+ areas, with a couple oranges in between. And yes, that's 3 to 4, maybe locally higher amounts. Western Pennsylvania, heavy rainfall for you as well over the next 1 through 7 days with these shower and thunderstorm threats. Any of these areas could be prone to flash flooding. We also do see some pockets of heavier rainfall across the Four Corners region. On a final note with this map, take a look across Virginia. Yeah, eastern Virginia does get a little bit of precipitation. Central Virginia does not, and that's not good. That's where you need it most in Virginia because the drought situation is continuing to get worse. It's also spreading in Pennsylvania, but I think western Pennsylvania, you might get a little bit of a dent into that drought just because of the precipitation that's coming. And you can see here the dry spots in Illinois and portions of Missouri. That also will get a dent as well because remember, I just showed you here some heavier rainfall is coming for those areas. All right, let's get over to the tropics. Take a look at this. Yes, it's still June, and already we have 3 different areas that are being monitored. You have the area that's going to enter the Gulf of Mexico. That's at 30%. We now do have a 2-day 90% chance of tropical cyclone formation, and this would get the name Beryl, or it could become a depression first. We'll have to see. It's going to definitely be designated something probably by the end of today, if at the latest, probably at some point tomorrow. And there's another system behind it now. That's now up to 20% as well. So let's take a look at Invest95L first off. Beryl, that would be the next name, and then the one behind it, if that was to get named, well, that would be called Chris. Taking a look here at Beryl, we can see here on infrared satellite picture, it's still rather disorganized, but we do note there are some areas of convection. There's one here a bit further east, there's one here a bit further to the west, and there are multiple areas of convection, which is what I'm trying to pinpoint here. The one to the west is the most impressive at this time, while the one to the east is just starting to get going. Should this start to align, then we would have a named system. Let's take a look here at the tropical intensity guidance, and you can see here almost all the guidance now, no, matter of fact, all the guidance does now have this at least getting to a tropical cyclone. A large majority of the guidance not only says this will be a tropical cyclone, tropical storm is what I'm trying to say. A large number of them do take it up to a Category 1 hurricane. Mind you, it is only June 28th. This is very early in the season to already be talking about a potential hurricane. And you can see some of these tropical intensity model plots here do take it up to a Category 2 or greater. So this is something we will have to continue to watch. And if we go back here, let's go back to the tropical page, and we can see here, Invest95L, here's the tracks. Most of the guidance right now is suggesting that this is going to take a westward track. If you have interest in the Windward Islands, keep an eye on this because this could be a hurricane at that point. Eventually it will continue west before potentially weakening some, but until then, that's not for several days out. That's sometime next week. Until then, it looks like it will strengthen at this time. Taking a look at what the GFS does with this, you can see here on the 6C GFS, it does develop this, and it turns it into a tropical storm over the weekend, and as it passes the islands, at that point, GFS is suggesting this could be a hurricane. Also note behind that, the other system, it does try to get going on the GFS, doesn't really do all that much, remains either a weak depression or a weak tropical storm. And you can see here with Invest95L, which will become Beryl, and we can see here, Beryl does move westward, but it does weaken. It eventually ends up into the Gulf of Mexico, but take a look what happens at that point. You can see nothing. It fizzles out. There are other guidance that we could take a look at. We could also take a look at the European, and when we reverse the European, we can see here that Beryl does move westward on the European as well, and it becomes a stronger tropical storm. Let's switch this to 001. We can see it becomes a stronger tropical storm, maybe even a hurricane, but watch what happens here. It really turns westward right into the Yucatan Peninsula, potentially, so it doesn't really get too far to the north. Now taking a look at what happens in the United States on the GFS, and we'll go through about 4th of July here, and we can see here, there's the shower and thunderstorm threat for the weekend. Watch what happens with this front. It kind of gets hung up along the coast, and then down in Florida, it really gets hung up potentially for multiple days. That'll be a focal point for showers and thunderstorms. And remember, we also have another system that's going to be coming into the plains. We talked about that briefly yesterday, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. That could provide some more showers, thunderstorms for the plains and the Midwest, and watch what happens as that sets up next week. Here's 4th of July. You can see some showers and thunderstorms in the northern plains, maybe across Pennsylvania as well. There will be some heat. The heat's going to come back underneath that. Temperatures could get into the 90s, especially in the mid-south and the west coast as well. But watch what happens. We're going to go beyond 4th of July. You can see here, this particular boundary does start to get hung up, and it does really slow down. Now, whether or not that happens remains to be seen. And you also see there is some moisture and energy coming out of Florida at the same time. Should that happen, we could potentially get a heavy rainfall threat here. I'm not really sold on this just yet. Let's take a look at another model. Let's go over to the Canadian model now, and I'll show you why I'm not sold on that. The Canadian model does something different. Here comes the weekend front. Behind that, nice, cooler weather for the Northeast. You're actually going to get a nice stretch. It's really looking going forward like the extreme heat in the Northeast is not going to be as bad as it originally looked to be. And I'll show you that on the Climate Prediction Center in just a second. But here comes that first front. That clears. You can see showers and thunderstorms continue in Florida. Here comes the second front around 4th of July. That does kind of get hung up a little bit, but look what happens here. It doesn't really stall like the GFS does. What happens instead, we actually get this cutoff or upper level low. We'll call it an upper level low, and that kind of meanders around here by the time you get to the end of the Canadian model run. So we'll have to watch what happens here, but it looks like a slowing pattern may come into play, which would allow for some relief for these drought conditions across portions of Virginia and the Carolinas and Pennsylvania. But again, we're talking post 4th of July. This is something that's likely to change on the modeling, and I'm not fully sold on this just yet. It's just something I want to raise awareness to going forward, and something I want to bring to your attention in case this does become reality down the line. Take a look at this on the Canadian. Really dry in the west coast. It's trying to show some shower activity down near Los Angeles and San Diego. We'll have to see. That would be a welcome relief because you could use the rainfall at this point. Moving on to the Climate Prediction Center. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. You can see here, still above average in the southeast, but has shifted southward just a little bit. Not as extreme across Pennsylvania or New England, and slightly below average in the northern plains, well above average on the west coast. Taking a look now at 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, and we can see here there will be a swath from the Four Corners region through the northeast that will be slightly above average, below average southeast of that, below average in Nevada and California, also in Oregon, and you can see near normal in between, slightly below average across Virginia. Again, I'm not totally sold on there being a stalled front just yet. Just wanted to bring it to your attention today. It may be something that we have to focus more on going down the line if any of this tropical energy gets worked into a front or whatever happens over Florida. All right, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. Well above average in the southeast and really all the way back to portions of California. While it will be above average across Pennsylvania into the northeast, again, this map is not as extreme as it was looking the other day. Near normal in the upper Midwest, near normal in the Pacific Northwest, and we can see here, slightly above average precipitation from the Four Corners region through to the Great Lakes and into the Northeast. Near normal in between, but again, that could change if that stalled front or upper level low does become reality. And we can see here California through to the upper northern Rockies. It is going to be really below average precipitation and below average across portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Alrighty, folks, that does it for the Friday edition of the Climate Update. If Beryl does form, or if even we get a tropical depression, I'll probably do a YouTube short, or maybe some sort of an update again later in the day. If you enjoyed this update, subscribe to my channel down below. Also, check me out on my X page at Climate Data Report. Of course, give this video a thumbs up. The more people that hit that thumbs up button, the more YouTube pushes this content throughout the algorithm, which helps my channel grow. Share these videos with anyone you know. Leave a comment down below. Hit that notification bell. I will see you all again next time. Until I see you again next time, stay safe if you're in the path of severe weather, and thanks for watching.